What I want to talk about today is a plan to solve the crisis and relieve the suffering we all see on the street every day. And when we work together to do that, we will make our existing programs to reduce homelessness even more effective.
So that was Mayor Keith Wilson just a few hours ago in City Hall, where for the first time he unveiled his plan to end unsheltered homelessness by December 1st. It was arguably the biggest talking point of his mayoral campaign last fall, even though it raised eyebrows, including mine, from the start. So today we got a look at how he plans to do it. And my takeaway? It left me and the new city council with many unanswered questions. Let's get right into it. Mayor Wilson wants to rely on setting up a network of low-barrier, nighttime emergency overnight shelters, costing about $35 a bed per night. And he's also leaning on day centers, including a plan for 4 new ones in each district of Portland, serving 150 people each, costing about $50 a day per person. In total, he wants to add 1,500 shelter beds by December 1st. As far as where those emergency overnight beds would be, he wants to use community centers, businesses, and churches located near transit centers. The end goal is to encourage people to get connected to services to get them off the streets. And he wants to enforce something called stay limits at shelters in an effort to speed up that process.
In addition, we must make changes to our 24-hour shelters as they are, reintroduce 90-day stay limits, require engagement with case managers, and follow bed utilization rules, where we make sure every bed, every night is being used for life-saving care and never empty. We must think about the best we can do right here, right now. We must change the way we think about the crisis and respond immediately and decisively.
Another move he hopes to make in his plan, or blueprint as he called it today, is something that certainly caught my eye. It has to do with campsite removals. According to his presentation to council, he wants to end the 72-hour posting requirement for unestablished encampments and stop the whack-a-mole process that plays out now, where camps and RVs simply move 2 blocks from street to street. But when he was asked about ending that 72-hour posting requirement, the mayor did not really answer the question, which came from Councillor Candace Avalos of District 1.
You were suggesting getting rid of the 72-hour posting notice, so I wanted to understand why.
Now, the law is the law. But if we can work with the Oregon Law Center to state that if it's an established encampment, we must provide a 72-hour notice. And that's as a courtesy. If they've been there for weeks on end, that's their life. Those are their belongings. But if we remove an encampment on one side of Powell Boulevard, and that person chooses to move to the other side of Powell Boulevard, which is an anecdote that Hank Smith was talking about, and that is no longer an established encampment, then we should be able to help that person and say, I want to help you. What does it look like? But you can't stay here. So the establishment clause is the critical part. Now, I don't have answers. We have 11 months to work through the details, but I've already started conversations with the Oregon Law Center to say, how does that work? And you know what they responded to me? They said, Keith, first of all, nobody's ever come and talked to us first before they implemented a law. They always wait for it to happen after, and then we sue them. And he says, you're the first candidate or politician that ever has come to me to ask me my opinion. But he said, Keith, I can't give you guidance. But at least you're caring for your community first, and you're providing that resource before implementing or enforcing the law. He says, I think you're going to be just fine. Now, that's not legal advice, because he isn't going to give me legal advice, but they're going to be at the table with us during this journey this next many months.
I was trying very hard to follow. I don't feel like I heard the answer I'm asking for. So are you saying that you are not trying to change the law to lessen that 72-hour posting notice? Or I don't think I understand.
Not changing any law.
Okay. So that aspect of the plan seems murky at best right now. Basically, during a camp removal, Wilson wants to offer people shelter and to have enough shelter to go around. Okay, great idea. I've been thinking that should be happening for a long time now. Even though city spokespeople say that happens now, people on the streets I've talked with say it's rare. But what happens if that person does not accept a shelter bed under Wilson's plan? Well, the mayor did not really have an answer for that either. In theory, if someone is camping on public property or the public right-of-way and there's a shelter bed available and they repeatedly refuse it, they could be arrested for violating the city's camping ban. That's when Portland police are supposed to get involved. But Wilson said several times today he wants to do everything in his power to limit police engagement in these situations. So how exactly would the camping ban be enforced then? We don't know. And I noticed a theme today during the meeting, how unclear the role of law enforcement is in all of this. The mayor saying we need to rethink how we care for people on our streets. So to recap, he wants people to go to these overnight shelters, many of which are not open yet, and then go to a day center to get connected to long-term services, which we also don't have enough of. So lots of questions remain. What if people don't want help? What if people do want help but services aren't available? And another thing that really stood out to me today in the mayor's presentation, fentanyl was never mentioned. And we know that is a big reason many people stay on the streets and decline shelter. So Mayor Wilson, he has a plan, a lot of ideas, some would argue great ones. But to me, that's where it ends. The execution and enforcement will be key, and we'll be watching. In the meantime, earlier today, Multnomah County held a meeting talking about homelessness. Mayor Wilson was also there. Now, I listened to over an hour of it, hoping to find a shred of new information as they talked about shelter expansion. And let me tell you, not much happened. The first 30 minutes was spent getting new members up to speed and sharing their hopes and dreams for the work in front of them.